choose your peer group really, really well. There's a lot of excellent science coming out and a lot of excellent research coming out that says the number one way to improve your behavior is to surround yourself with a peer group or social circle of people who are also playing at the level you want to be playing at. So if you want to be a high performer in terms of your productivity, populate your life with high performers. Now here's the science behind it. In the brain, we have something called the mirror neuron system of the brain. And it dates back to thousands of years ago when we were living on the savannah. And this mirror neuron system allowed us to model the behavior of the dominant people in the tribe. So if someone figured out a tool or figured out fire or a better way to survive, subconsciously, this system in the brain allowed us to model the behavior. And I think this is pretty fascinating information. Now here we are in the modern world, and what happens? Subconsciously, we are modeling the behavior of the people we spend most of our time with. And so if you are around victims, you will start behaving like a victim. If you are around people who are mediocre performers, you will subconsciously start behaving like them. If you're around people who gossip, who are not A players, who do not produce very much, you will subconsciously, because of the mirror neuron system in the brain, start performing like them. Why else is it important to surround yourself with a peer set or a social orbit of A players? Emotional contagion. And that's a scientific phenomenon that simply says we pick up on the emotions of the people that are around us. And so if you are around a social circle of people who are inspired, people who want to do great work, people who want to be ultra productive, people who want to be innovative, people who are relentlessly optimizing their work, their thinking, their creativity, just being around them will allow you to adopt their...
What I did, really fast overview, is I took blocks of time from 6 a.m. when I woke up to 11 p.m. when I went to bed. I took blocks of time, some 90-minute blocks, some 30-minute blocks, some 2-hour blocks. No matter what I needed to do, I added 15 to 30 minutes to it. If I thought I can get it done in an hour, I gave myself 90 minutes to do it. So you're not going from one thing to the next and one thing to the next, thinking that a time management system is really making you stay chop chop. It's not. It's not designed to make you stay chop chop in an aggressive, intense, stress-producing way. It's designed to keep you on path for the things that you say are important to you. So the first thing I realized, the first myth that I changed, was giving space inside of my day, giving space inside of my time management. So I add 15 to 30 minutes to everything. For example, I wanted to check my email for 45 minutes every morning. So I put in 90 minutes. I just doubled it. And I was never in it for 90 minutes. So after the email, after I checked the email, I had a moment to go, do I want to go downstairs and get another thing of orange juice? Do I want to do something else? And so padding time supports you. So I block my entire day from wake up to go to bed. I add 15 to 30 minutes to each task. Then I block it out to the most key tasks. So the first thing you want to do is make a list of the things you do almost every day. So that's, for me, it was have breakfast and make breakfast for Jelani. It was get ready for the day. These are my major tasks. It was take Jelani to school, get Jelani dressed for school, take Jelani to school. It was check my email. It was return phone calls. It was make sales calls. It was pick Jelani up from school. It was do Jelani's homework with him. It was cook dinner for Jelani and I. It was get Jelani ready for bed. It was my prayer time. It was shower and get ready for bed myself. It was, you see, and this was 2006. And I still remember all the major pillars of my day. I may have forgotten a couple out there, like in my morning I do my gratitude time, but I knew my 15 major pillars of my day. And I took those major pillars and I dropped them inside these 30-minute blocks, hour blocks, or 2-hour blocks from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed. My 30-minute blocks were primarily free time. So I dropped in 3 or 4 spaces where it just said breathe. You would not believe what happened. Now, I didn't do the same thing every day, but most of the days I was up to the same thing. And I had some general buckets called CEO time. That gave me time to do whatever I need to do for the business. And then there was a bucket called home time. I could do anything for home. So I had open space time allocated to either home or personal or business. Now, whenever that schedule got disrupted, whenever I got back to the schedule, I just dropped into the structure already set. What did it do for me? It allowed me not to have to figure out what to do next. It allowed me focus. I didn't roam around so much figuring out. I didn't spend dollar time on penny tasks. I checked my email twice a day at 9 a.m. and at 3 p.m., and that was enough. I did 2 hours of sales, 2 days a week. What did that do? That grew my business. At the time, I was making $72,000 a year in 2006 when I started. The very next year, after doing 2 hours a day, 2 days a week of sales, I was up to $185,000. That's pretty good. It's well worth the time management. And so all of a sudden, there's structure. But inside the structure,
you got to have daily targets. Every day I walk in with a target. I have a planner, and basically what the planner does is the planner starts off 2 sheets of paper. It looks like this. It's a notebook, right? And this is the right side. We start on the right side. This is goals at the top, and this is targets. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write down these ridiculous targets. I'm going to get a helicopter. Okay, I'm gonna get a brand new helicopter, 8 passenger. I got it in my head. I got it mocked up. It's black. It's got a 10X underneath it. Dude, it's got choppers. I'm not doing that this year. $10 billion worth of real estate. All this ridiculous stuff goes here. $10 billion worth of real estate. Daily targets. You need a daily target. What has to happen today, that I can measure today in order to stay focused on my goals tomorrow, next week, and next month. If I can't pull today off, you know, when you're recovering from drug addiction, it's one day at a time. Handle today. I used to go to a meeting 3 times a day, every day. 7 o'clock in the morning, 1 at noon, 1 at 8 o'clock. People say, man, that's a lot of meetings, man. 21 meetings in 1 week. Like, yeah, you know what? I don't want to fall off, man. I got to stay focused. I'm weak.
And it ties into the secrets of sales, right? It ties in because I tell people, in your time frame, I work 9 months. In mine, I work 10 years. And they're like, what are you talking about? I said, because I look at life through a lens of productivity and accessibility. How much value, shifting the paradigm of value, how much value am I providing? And how am I accessing the help that I need, as well as being accessible to others to give help? Very simple lens of value. And because I believe people buy on emotion for logical reasons. And if you can have the emotional attachment and value, so if I sold you something and guaranteed, you know, whatever it would cost that you would make double by the end of the year, you would do it. Everyone would do it. It's all about value. So I literally looked at time that way and said, how productive and accessible am I? So I work 6 days a week, 16 hours a day, twice as much time. I focused in on efficiency. So that was 32 hours of productivity if I was twice as efficient. Then I looked at statistical success of what I was doing. If I could be more statistically successful, not just because I was a young sales guy. So if I have 10 leads, people think that you're more successful if you sell 4 and I sell 2. I disagree. If I have 10 leads and I can make more of those 10 leads available to me, I can be a worse of a sales rep. Because usually what happens is somebody that can close 4 out of 10 with that skill set only has 6 people available to them. They're wasting all their time on the 4, trying to get on the phone, trying to get the meeting, trying to get all this. So I focused on availability because it was more productive. So if I could get all 10 available, I could be a way worse sales rep and close 5 out of 10. Right? At 50% instead of at 80%. So I really focused in on that. So I work 7 days a week, 16 hours a day. My perspective though, just so you know, mindset, I told God, I'm graduating law school with no job, law loans, in a recession. Before I got offered those jobs, I said, God, if you can give me enough money to buy my mom a house, buy my mom a car, and pay off my law loans, I will shovel shit with my hands 6 days a week, 12 hours a day with gratitude. That's where my mindset was. So when I got a real job, a 6-figure job
Yeah.
with opportunities to make 7 figures. There was no stopping me in productivity, accessibility. Do the math. You know, if I have 64 hours of productivity a day, right?
Yeah.
The 16 times 2 times 2 is 64 hours of productivity a day, times 7 days a week.
Hold on, where do you get the 64?
So
What do you mean?
most people work 8 hours of productivity.
Yep.
I work twice as many hours, so that's 16.
Yep,
I'm
same
twice as efficient, that's 32 hours of productivity.
And
then twice as
efficient.
and then twice as statistically successful, I would have 64 hours of productivity a day.
And the twice as statistically successful, like
Was dealt
you
to
mean
the
like
availability.
lead scoring?
Yeah, lead scoring,
like
closing,
focusing on the money,
closing or the
closing
amount of
as
sales.
fast as
Yeah,
possible.
being very, very focused on the money. I believe profit
that.
comes first, not passion and purpose. I think people are fooling themselves when they're like, "I want to do what I love." I'm like,
Yeah.
bullshit. Learn to love what you do.
Yep.
People say
become an expert at what you do.
Yeah, love
and
it.
you'll love it.
But pursue it. And I did it with productivity and accessibility.
Full dedication.
Yeah, and so in 9 months, I believe I had 10, the average sales guy was married with kids, wasn't motivated and inspired like I wasn't pursuing what I was pursuing. So in that 9-month period, I produced 10 years of what the average person would produce.
I love that.
Therefore, I had $1 million,
Yep.
right? Which is, you know, basically $100,000 a year for an average person. But I was able to do it through time, effort, productivity, accessibility. I'm a student of my calendar, which means I study my calendar with the lens of productivity and accessibility.
Another secret.
I study sleep. So
Smart.
because my
Sleep in
subconscious
1/4 of your life,
or 1/3 for
yeah,
some
1/3 of
people,
your
not
life.
me, 1/5 for me, but
Yeah,
literally
same
because I study sleep, I'm more productive and accessible in the subconscious and unconscious than anyone I know, because I think those, 6 hours or 5 hours I sleep is more important than going to 6 hours of meetings. Like for my literally productivity and accessibility. I also study the white space of my calendar. So more people forget their most important calls and meetings during the day because they just look at their calendar.
Yep.
And I've done it. I'm an expert at this stuff. I've forgotten meetings. I've forgotten important calls. Ones that I've waited 3 weeks for. I'm like, how'd the day go by? I forgot to call.
Yeah.
Because I started studying my calendar. The other secret is do it now. Think about productivity and accessibility. If you learn to ask yourself one question, hey, can I do this now? And you do it, you save at minimum twice as much time, and you're statistically way more successful than if you put it somewhere else. Now, one other tool is if I can't do it now, I have a do it now repository, either on my phone or in my Outlook.
Yep.
So in the white space of my calendar, when I don't have something planned,
Yep.
I go check my do it now folder, prioritize it by
Got it.
importance, and I knock them off.
Performance is measured, performance improves. Secondarily, the more you can shrink the time frame where you measure performance, the better chance you can have to alter that performance and improve it. So what do most people do? They measure their performance. The average people in the world measure their performance at the end of every year. New Year's Eve, right? They take an account of, here's my life. Here's what I accomplished. Here's what I didn't get done. And once a year, they take a look at themselves, they make an adjustment, and their performance improves. They measure their performance, they measure their results, and then they make an adjustment. So they adjust about once a year. Pretty good performers shrink the time frame. At the end of every month, most companies kind of do an inventory. Most people do an inventory. They look at their books, they look at the profit and loss, they look at their schedule, and they make an adjustment after they measure that performance at the end of the month. Really good people kind of get together on a Sunday night. If they're pretty good performers, once a week, they measure their performance, they make adjustments, and they move on weekly. And then there's really top level performers, and they do it at the end of every day, don't they? At the end of every day, they sit back, they look at their calendar, they look at the results, and they measure the performance daily. Well, who do you think is going to do better? The person who measures it once a year, once a month, once a week, or once a day? We all know the better adjustments, they've shrunk the time frames down, they adjust, they get better, they improve daily. And then there's the max out 1% of 1% performers, and they have a clock that goes off every hour. Every hour in their head, an alarm goes off in my mind. It's sort of weird, but it works. I'm addicted to it now. About every hour, the top of every hour at 11 a.m., it's funny, my mind just knows, what did I do to move closer to my goals? What did I do to move closer to my outcomes? Have I achieved the things on my to-do list today? Have I achieved my biggest and baddest outcomes of the day? And every hour, did I move closer? Did I move closer? What adjustments do I need to make? What do I need to celebrate? What tweaks? What's been accomplished so far? An hourly alarm clock goes off in your head. If you can get to the point where you just begin to practice it, and maybe for now, You program this thing to go off every hour, just to remind you, what did you get accomplished? And maybe when that hour goes off, you know what flashes on the screen? Your outcomes and your goals. Hourly, the alarm goes off. Hourly, the alarm goes off. It'll begin to train you to begin to measure the time frame of your performance every hour. Now let me ask you a question. There's a group of people that measure their performance. Their race, their marathon is once a year. Then there's those that do it once a month that make adjustments and measure where they are and increase effort. Then those that do it monthly, weekly, daily, hourly. I can tell you that I run many days and I measure my performance hourly. It will transform your life. You'll become more productive in your family, in your personal relationships, in your faith, in your business, in your fitness, in your nutrition, in your money, in every area. If just something goes off by the way, it's a 5-second just reminder. Am I moved closer to my outcome? If I move closer to my to-do list today, what adjustments do I need to make? You'll be reminded at that time of someone you forgot to call, an email you didn't return, a meeting you haven't asked for yet, but something you were supposed to eat, hydrate, whatever.